Okay. Tall, brown eyes. I know what you're thinking, but I am not describing your ideal spouse. I'm painting the portrait of a leader. You know the type. They walk into a room and somehow the lighting gets better. A captivating voice that's stuck in your head for days. And they shake hands like they read books on how to do it. Their presence alone is loud, but for some reason we think that's the one. That must be the leader. Oxford defines leadership as a person who commands a group, organization, or a country. Merriam-Webster defines it as someone with notable authority or influence. We all seem to know that leadership intertwines with empowerment. But what if that empowerment had nothing to do with being noticed? Today, I want to challenge how we perceive the mantle of leadership through analyzing philosophy, biblical nature, and ethics. Perhaps we will see that the leaders may not be the ones who grab the mic, but the ones who give up their seat, maybe even learning a little algebra in the process. Leadership begins with self-control. For a leader who cannot govern themselves will break whatever they seek to build. Plato taught that the best rulers are those who do not seek power, because power in the hands of the self-controlled becomes service, but power in the hands of the self-absorbed become danger. Plato believed one should lead not because they desire power, but because they possess wisdom and virtue. In this way, conviction is exhibited, as it separates the leader from the crowd pleaser. Now, I've never been good at math, but if we put this into a formula, we see that leadership actually begins with conviction, an equivalent substitute for self-control. Philosophically speaking, it stands as the unwavering anchor of moral truth and the foundation of personal development. But, let's be honest. Sometimes leadership can feel invisible. In John 13:5, we learn that Jesus, a phenomenal leader, washed feet. No cameras, no stage, just water, towels, and humility. A leader ahead of his time knelt down before all of his disciples, serving even the one who would betray him. We view vulnerability as a sign of weakness, when in actuality it strengthens us to have integral influence. Matthew 23:11 says, "The greatest among you will be your servant." And while that doesn't mean every leader will be shining shoes, it means that biblical leadership can be marked by our invisible choices. The logistics of leadership aren't always glamorous. Sometimes it's cleaning up a pizza party while smiling like you're on a TED Talk. Going back to our formula, we see the next variable we can add is service, critical not only to our development, but our decision-making. While many are called, few are chosen. And in order to live a life that is purposeful, conviction will lead you to service, and service will lead you to obedience. And here's a truth nobody talks about. True leadership means there will be people you disappoint. In my adventures balancing high school and college, I've learned you cannot serve both truth and approval. That's called burning out. We automatically translate our leaders to be politicians or CEOs. Although it's pretty clear we've lost sight of the moral qualities that can be cultivated in anyone. This is the agony of the American dream, where we measure leaders solely by result and not reasoning. But Jesus gave people what they needed and not what they wanted, and sometimes so must you. With this, the final step in our equation is to divide our two variables by our own ego. A leader with ego creates fear. One with humility creates loyalty. You don't need to be loud to be listened to, or if leadership were about volume, every argument on Twitter would change the world. Or if leadership is reduced to being liked or followed, does that make leadership a lie or just performative? Real leadership must learn to stand, even when all applause fades. So let's examine that full formula. Leadership equals conviction, plus service divided by our ego. By having a moral compass, we are able to bear the burdens of others, reduced by the weight of our own pride. Even in the world of speech, I'm not here to walk into some room and steal the attention. I want to walk into chaos and restore peace. I'm still learning what it takes to be a leader. But the beautiful thing is that the choice is ours. So, maybe leadership isn't found in tall frames, brown eyes, or any dashing smile. But since we're being honest, they never hurt anyone. Thank you.